What's up, everybody? Justin here, back with another best of show. This is the best of Ric Flair in the 1980s. It was a decade of the Nature Boy. The guy was on fire. The guy was one of the best at interviews and promos. One of the greatest world champions of all time in the 80s. And the guy was just at the height of his career in the 80s. The guy was in his prime. He was still in his prime in the 90s. But he was really at his best in the 1980s. Best of Ric Flair in the 1980s. Here we go. I'm going to give you some of my favorite Ric Flair matches from the 1980s. There's a ton of them. Too many to name. But I'll name a few, and hopefully you'll watch them and enjoy them. So, best of Ric Flair in the 1980s. Ric Flair, Nikita Koloff at Starrcade 86. Pretty damn good match. Ric Flair actually made you believe Nikita Koloff was going to become the world champion and defeat him. Ric Flair could do that with a lot of guys. He could do it with a lot of mid-carders and jobbers. In squash matches, he can make you believe the jobber was going to beat him. He was that good. The guy could have wrestled a broomstick and made you believe the broomstick was going to go over on Ric Flair. The guy could have had a good match with a broomstick. That's how good he was. And Ric Flair, from some wrestlers or fans, he might get criticized that all he did was the same moves, the same match, the same spots. He never changed. So what? He didn't have to. It worked. What he did in the ring fucking worked. Period. It worked. Why would he have to change his wrestling style and what he did? It got over. It got the fans excited, screaming, and into the match. So he didn't have to change. Did he take a backdrop? Or not a backdrop. Did he get press slammed off the top rope too much? Probably, but so what? I loved his matches. I don't care that he didn't change his style. But that's just some that probably are haters of Ric Flair and jealous of his career. I don't mind, and I don't care if the guy had the same match over and over. I was still entertained. Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, Great American Bash 86 inside a steel cage. It was damn good. A really good match. Dusty, Ric Flair had one of the greatest feuds and rivalries in the 80s in wrestling history. Ric Flair versus Ronnie Garvin, the man with the hands of stone, Ron Garvin. Ric Flair and Ron Garvin, I've seen them wrestle TV matches and pay-per-views about 4 to 5 times, and every single Ron Garvin Ric Flair match was good. Every one of them was damn good. They never had a bad match together. They were damn physical matches. Ric Flair just let Ron Garvin beat the crap out of him and just chop him over and over and over. And Flair did the same. He gave Ron Garvin receipts back and chopped his ass as hard as he could back. So Ric Flair, Ron Garvin on NWA TV World Championship Wrestling, I believe is December 85. They had a really good TV match. It's on the network. It was really damn good. Also, they had a really good match February 86 at the show. It's on the network. Superstars on the Superstation. February 86. I believe it is for the world title. Ric Flair defended against Ron Garvin. And again, they had a great match. All their matches were damn physical, and I really enjoyed them. Also, Ric Flair and Ron Garvin would have a really good match on a house show that they kind of televised and showed a lot of the highlights. I believe it's September 87 in Detroit in a cage when Ric Flair lost the NWA title to Ron Garvin. So now let's go to more best of Ric Flair from the 80s. Ric Flair against Road Warrior Hawk. I enjoyed it. It was at Bunkhouse Stampede 88. They also had another match in the 80s, I believe, but I don't remember what event and where it was at. Ric Flair, Jimmy Garvin, 1987 Great American Bash for the NWA title in a steel cage. Jimmy Garvin's wife, manager, was outside the cage, Precious. And Ron Garvin got involved. They kind of acted like Ron Garvin and Jimmy Garvin were brothers, but I don't think they were. I really doubt it. They just made that up. But really good match, really physical. Probably Jimmy Garvin's best match I've ever seen him have. At Great American Bash 87 against Ric Flair in a cage for the NWA title. I believe the match went, like 30 plus minutes. It felt like 30 minutes. Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, Starrcade 84, very good. Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes, Starrcade 85, again, very good. Either 84 or 85, the match was stopped because Dusty was cut above the eye. And I believe Joe Frazier was a ref. I don't remember what Starrcade that was. I'm talking about the legendary boxer Joe Frazier was a ref, and he stopped the match. I think it was either Starrcade 84 or 85. Ric Flair versus Ron Garvin, Starrcade 87. Damn good match inside a cage for the NWA title. The crowd was hot for it. The crowd was really hype in Chicago at Starrcade 87. Ron Garvin lost the NWA title back to the Nature Boy, where I think Flair became a 5-time champion, or 5-time world champ. Ric Flair versus Sting, the first ever Clash of Champions. They win 45 minutes. It was awesome. It was damn good. It was in March of 1988, the first Clash of Champions, Ric Flair versus Sting. And that show actually went up against WrestleMania 4, and Clash of Champions 1 got a really good rating. Ric Flair against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Probably the greatest match of the 80s, in my opinion. At Clash of Champions 7, April 1989. It was 2 out of 3 falls. They went almost an hour. It was fucking epic. Flair and Steamboat have never had a bad TV match. Never have had a bad match. They've had a lot of matches on pay-per-views and TVs, and it has never been bad. So now let's go to more best of Ric Flair matches. 1988 on the main event. It's actually a match on the WWE DVD, WWE Factions DVD on the network. You can actually watch the match on there. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard in a six-man tag against Barry Windham, Sting, and Lex Luger. On the main event, I believe from 1988, it was really good. It was like in a really small, like, gym or something, or small armory, but the crowd was hot. Best of Ric Flair. Ric Flair against Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express at Great American Bash 86. Inside a steel cage. It was really damn good. Ric Flair against Terry Funk. Clash of Champions. I Quit match. Really damn good. I loved Ric Flair and Terry Funk's feud. It was really damn good. Ric Flair against Sting. Starrcade 89. It was the finals of the Iron Man tournament, and it was really damn good. Ric Flair against Lex Luger. Yes, Lex Luger made the best of Ric Flair because Flair carried him and made him look great, like he was a superstar in a main eventer. Ric Flair versus Lex Luger, as I said, at Starrcade 88. Really good match. Ric Flair and Sting. Ric Flair and Sting against a Great Muta and Terry Funk from Halloween Havoc 89. It was damn good. It was inside the Thunderdome cage. Some fans might have not liked it because it was a gimmick match, but I really fucking enjoyed it. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat at Chi-Town Rumble 89, at Wrestle War 89, and at Boogie Jam 84. Again, all these matches are on the WWE Network to watch if you have the network. You can watch a ton of Ric Flair matches if you have the network. All his matches basically from the 80s. Almost all of them. There's probably a lot more that the network could put a lot more Ric Flair matches on. And they should. That have like never been seen before on DVDs. They could put a ton of matches on there from probably Worldwide Wrestling, Main Event, Power Hour, and stuff like shows like that they have not uploaded on the network. So Ric Flair, Barry Windham. Ric Flair, Barry Windham on Worldwide Wrestling in 1987 for the NWA World title. Ric Flair was defending against Barry Windham. Dusty Rhodes, Jim Ross calling the action, and they went 60 minutes. Or almost 60 minutes. Maybe they did go the full 60 minutes. I don't really remember. But what I do remember is the match was fucking great. It was great. Flair and Barry Windham, they worked really well together. They had the crowd on the edge of their seat for just about the whole 60 minutes. So there's a lot more I could add. Ric Flair against Bruiser Brody. I believe this was in St. Louis, this match. I think it was in 85. But anyways, Ric Flair worked against Bruiser Brody in the 80s. They were damn entertaining matches. They were really good matches. Bruiser Brody actually could wrestle when he faced Ric Flair. He didn't just brawl. Ric Flair and Ted DiBiase had a great match. I thought it was great. On Mid-South Wrestling in 80, I want to say 85. I think it was 85. On Mid-South, Ric Flair defended the NWA title against Ted DiBiase. He got busted open early in the show. He's busted open, I think, by Dick Murdoch. Dick Murdoch picked him up and brainbuster spiked his head on the concrete, a suplex, and Ted DiBiase bled a lot. But he got his head wrapped, he got the cut wrapped, and came back, faced Ric Flair. They had a fucking awesome match for the world title. And Ted DiBiase's, all the, not tape, but all the protection he had over the cut, it got ripped off and it started bleeding a lot again. And there was like blood everywhere. There was blood all over Ric Flair, blood all over Ted DiBiase. It was awesome. And then when Ted DiBiase was out on the floor, I believe he got attacked again by Dick Murdoch or someone else, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. I think Dick Murdoch, anyways, it doesn't matter. He attacked him and Dr. Death, I think, came out and saved Ted. But I think Ted DiBiase got counted out. But it was a great match on Mid-South. Bloody world title match. Ric Flair, let's go back to Florida. I think it was Florida Championship Wrestling. Ric Flair Wahoo McDaniels for the NWA title in 84. Maybe it was 83. 83 or 84. It was damn good. It was bloody. I think Wahoo bled and Flair bled, and they both went like 54 to 56 minutes. It was really damn good. So I hope you enjoyed the best of Ric Flair in the 1980s. The guy was at the top of his career, at the top of his popularity probably. The guy was on absolute fire. And when he got in the Four Horsemen, and he was a leader, in my opinion, when he got in the Horsemen, he just got better. So, again, all these Ric Flair matches, watch them and enjoy them because they are special and they're fun to watch. Hope you enjoyed the best of Ric Flair in the 1980s. Woo!